Opening up our conference today, we have a few words from Dr. Tilak Dutta. Tilak is a scientist at the KITE Research Institute, Toronto Rehabilitation Institute at UHN, and the director of the Engineering Health Lab that is hosting this conference. Welcome, Tilak.
Great. Thank you very much, Allison. I'm very excited to be here with you today. I'm a 43-year-old male, black hair, wearing a white shirt and a blue striped tie. Our team has put together a fantastic lineup of speakers and presenters over the next 3 days for you. I hope you enjoy it. Just before we get into that with our keynote speaker for today, Mayan Ziv, I just wanted to give a little bit of context to what we're trying to do with this conference as a whole, and how you can get involved after the conference and why there's a little bit of urgency to this project right now. It's a really exciting time right now for accessibility in Canada. The Accessible Canada Act went into force in 2019, and that law passing created a new organization called Accessibility Standards Canada. This organization has been working very hard, bringing together groups of volunteers around the country to create a set of new accessibility standards. One of those standards focuses on accessibility of outdoor spaces. Our research team, was funded to develop a set of recommendations to inform this standard. So the goal of this of this conference is to start a conversation to create a better understanding of what national park accessibility means to you. What we've heard so far through this project generally is accessibility means different things to different people that have different needs. And that sounds obvious, I think, to most people in this room, the people joining us here. But I think the general public, people without awareness about accessibility related issues, have a narrower vision of what accessibility is. And we want to help broaden their idea of what accessibility should be, and how we can make our parks more accessible. So the information we gather from this conference, hearing your stories, hearing your presentations, we're going to combine with other data collection that we're doing with park visits through a literature review. We're looking at YouTube videos where people go on trips to parks and report and talk about their experiences. And we're running a survey across Canada with people with disabilities and their caregivers. What we're planning to do is take all of this information that we're getting from all of these sources of information, and we're going to lay it out into a giant table. Across the top of the table, we're going to list all of the different activities you may want to take part in when you go to a park. So that could be swimming, fishing, hiking, camping. It might also include tasks that we have to take care of when we're at a park, like toileting or changing. We're also down the side of this table, we're going to list the different needs that people have. So we're going to include needs for people with physical impairment, as well as sensory impairment, cognitive impairment, as well as people who might be non-neurotypical. And we're going to try to fill in the cells of this table with different solutions that will help a person with a particular type of need take part in a particular type of activity. So this table really gives us the opportunity to create a vision for what we want park accessibility to look like in the future. It's an ideal vision. We may never fill in, it may not be possible to actually fill in every cell in this table. In fact, we're expecting there to be gaps, but that's for us to take away later and think about ways of developing new technologies, or working with our partner Parks Canada to think about how we can creatively fill in these gaps that are there. So that's our overall goal for this project. Part of what we want to do is create this table, but also highlight that it's not enough just to have these accessible features available. We also need to make sure information about them is shared appropriately, so that people that need this information can access that information for planning purposes. Going to a national park, is different than any other trip to a local, a local park, or going to the zoo somewhere close by, because it takes a lot more investment. It takes time and a lot more planning to pack everything up. What I've learned in my life with my son who uses a wheelchair is it takes a lot more energy to go through a lot of tasks than you otherwise might take. And um, so what we need to do is help people plan to do these activities um, before before they're willing to take the risk. We need to give people the information they need to make plans on their websites. If someone calls in to confirm that a particular type of facility is available, we need people that answer the phone to have the same information that's on the website, and the people that we run into when we get to the park need to also have that same information. We need to find ways of making sure that information is up to date and accurate across everyone that might need it. Um, I actually had an opportunity just this past weekend to visit a national park, Georgian Bay Islands National Park, and a small example of a disconnect with this type of information was the map, the visitor map that was handed out. We were at the visitor center. I was doing this visit actually with Mayan Ziv's group, Access Now, doing a park visit. We had a powered wheelchair user, and we had a walker user as part of my group. And near the visitor center on the map, there was an accessible bathroom that was marked, and it was getting time to catch our ferry to take the ferry back to the mainland from the island where the park is located. And it was getting close, and the walker user needed to use the bathroom. So we looked on the map and said, oh, look, we're right by one of these accessible bathrooms. Why don't we go check it out? It turned out that bathroom had been closed to the public for some time, but the maps hadn't been updated. So just a small example. I know people in this conference are well aware of these types of issues and have many stories of experiences like that. But in our case, the person I was with decided it wasn't worth going to another accessible bathroom that was further out of the way, because she was a little worried about not making it back to the uh, ferry on time, because they leave right on time. So we need to find ways, part of this project, what we're trying to do is finding ways of getting people on the same page, raising awareness of what accessibility means, the breadth of the different concepts that people should be thinking about, and finding easy ways to build this awareness. And one of the ways we want to do that is with your help. We want to write a crowdsourced book. We're calling it A for Accessibility. It's going to cover the letters A through Z. Each letter will be listed with a concept of accessibility that we think people need to know about and raise awareness about. And we want you to tell us what words and what concepts we should be including in this book. So for example, A might be for accessibility, B might be for bathrooms, C might be for camping, and with each letter, we'll list some key accessibility related concerns or adaptations or accommodations that need to be considered to make that activity or that concept fully accessible. So, and along with these concepts in this book, we also want to crowdsource illustrations that will be used in this book. So we're hoping to get your help with that book um, to help get people on the same page. In a minute, I think Melanie's going to share the links, share a set of links for you for how you can get involved in that, and 3 other ways you can get involved with us, which I'll get to in just a second. Just before we get to that, I want to highlight the accessibility of this conference itself or the lack thereof. We did try our best Our team worked very hard to try to address all the accessibility issues we could think of as we set up this conference and planned for it. But I know that there were some gaps, and we do want your feedback. Thanks to everyone who's given us their feedback so far, and we are looking forward to getting more feedback. If there's anything you think we could do to improve the accessibility of this experience, please do let us know. We are planning to run another conference next year, and so we do hope to improve on all of these aspects at that time. The last thought I wanted to leave you with before we move on to our keynote here today is that I hope you'll see this conference as an opportunity for us to start a conversation on accessibility. And really, we want you to get involved beyond this conference if you're interested. And there's 4 ways you can get involved. First of all, I'll mention that I think we had 550 people as of last count, I think, registered for this conference. We had a lot more people who wanted to present than we had time for. So I want to make sure that you don't feel that we don't want your perspectives. We definitely do. So don't let that stop you from sharing your perspective. You can email us, you can call us. You've already heard the email address and phone numbers that you can use to get in touch with us. You can fill in our survey. There's a link for our survey in our list of links on our website as well. This is for if you're a person with a disability or a caregiver for someone with a disability. We want to learn from your experiences in parks. I already mentioned the crowdsourced A to Z book that we'd like your help with, that you can get involved with. And the last way you can get involved is through a discussion forum that we're launching. So again, a link for that will also be in the chat for you to access shortly. The discussion forum, we're going to use that as an opportunity to have questions answered during our presentations, following the presentations. We're not going to have a lot of time for questions. We're hoping we can create this discussion forum as an opportunity to let presenters and members of the audience talk to each other and answer questions. Okay, I'm very excited to see the rest of the presentations. I'll end it there and I'll pass it back to you, Allison.